Good morning. Good morning. It's 12:19, 2:19 a.m. I'm on my way to the gym. I'm on my way to exercise, develop, discipline. I was walking out the door and I was thinking about jail. Now, for anybody who's ever been there, what I'm going to say is going to ring so true that you're going to probably laugh. And for you guys who have never been to jail, and I've been there a lot, let's just be very clear, be very honest. I know I'm a father. I know that I'm a son. I know that I am a child of God. I know that I'm a business owner. I know that I am successful, but I also have a past, and I've been in jail a lot. And what came to mind this morning is going to resonate with somebody who's been in jail or somebody who's just been in the world for any given amount of time, because it's not just isolated to somebody going through a court battle. But when you're in there, and let's say you're in a holding cell and you're waiting on the judge to determine your outcome, and you have to go through the process. And the process is sometimes a little bit slower than our mind would like. Our mind would ultimately like to have an answer fast, so that whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But we don't address it like that when we're in jail. When we're in jail, what we do is we think about it. We think about the crime. We think about the time. And then we start thinking about family, and we start thinking about all the things that we left behind. And mind you, you're in jail. That sounds like you're in death, but you're just in jail, meaning, short of looking at a couple life sentences, you will have another day to be free. But all these different thoughts and ideas are popping through your mind, right? Because you don't have control of the outcome. And because you don't have control of the outcome, it's natural for the mind to start wandering. And then after the mind starts wandering and you no longer can contain that feeling all to yourself, here's the second thing you start doing when you're in jail. You start looking at the person who's wearing the exact same orange or yellow or striped or pink outfit you're wearing, locked up in the same cell you're locked up in, and you turn to him and you start asking him questions. Follow me on this. Man, what do you think's gonna happen? How you think it's gonna turn out? What you think they're gonna do? How much time do you think they're gonna give me? And like a dummy, he gives you an answer as if he's some type of lawyer. But he always gives you the answer that falls in line with what you want to hear. But because it sounds too good to be true, you take what that person said and now you go ask somebody else. You tell them the whole scenario. You tell them the whole story. You tell them what you're in there for, what you done did. You done went all the way back to the point when you was 3 years old, and how you got to this point, and why you in here, and the fact that your household is broken and your family is broken, and you in jail as a crime of passion. And now this person tells you something that's not exactly like what the first person tells you. So now your curiosity to learn more about what man has to say about your outcome. So you ask a third person. Now this happens. This happens in the span. The last time I was in jail was for a DUI. They had me in there for 24 hours. It was the hardest. Now mind you, I done been in prison for years. Over 10 years. I sat in a holding tank for 24 hours. It felt like the hardest thing I had ever done. And I'm talking about these scenarios of jail as if, whatever. And in the span of that 24 hours, I must have heard this one guy walk around to about 20 different people And in the whole span of that 24 hours sitting inside of that cell, hear him tell his case to about 20-something people to get them to give him an idea about what his outcome is going to be. Ain't now one of them a judge. Ain't none of them affiliated with police officers. Ain't none of them got no law degrees, but yet he's soliciting advice from each and every one of them because the voices inside of his mind won't let him calm. So he's looking for an external voice to quantify what his internal voice is already telling him. He's trying to find peace. He's trying to find peace between what's in his mind. He's trying to find peace between what's really going to happen. He's not trying to find faith. He's trying to find peace. And he asked people all the way up until the point where they finally opened up the cell and said, go home. Go home. He wasn't even in there 24 hours. Go home. Don't that sound like what we do? Problem comes up, we let it run through our mind like a hamster on a little wheel. Just like a hamster on a wheel. And then when we're tired of running on the wheel, we'll go and pick up the phone and call somebody and tell them the problem and ask them their thoughts. And when their thoughts don't come back 100% like we wanted to, we'll pick up the phone, we'll call somebody else. And by the time you know it, we done got on social media and we done solicited the 1,000 people we know on social media for their advice. Now we're really confused. Because as if you weren't confused enough before you started the conversation, boy, you're confused now. Because you done got everybody's opinions. Ain't that funny how a jail scenario emulates life? Same scenario, same person, different situation, different location. See, I noticed that there was no difference between a locked up mind and a free body. They were both prisoners to their thoughts. They were both prisoners to the outcome. And I know somebody who's probably listening to this feels that way too. Voices keep talking to you. Just when you think you got one under control, it's like herding cats. You go to grab one, 5 break away this way. Now you're trying to grab those. That's how your thoughts are. They're running all over the place and in different directions. They're not like a herd. They're not going in one direction. They're cats. They're scattering. And because you can't round up your thoughts, you start rounding up people to confirm what it is that you may or may not be thinking, but you don't even have a clear understanding about that. That happens to me every morning. It's so funny. It happens to me every morning. For about 30 seconds, if that, and then I tell it, you can't have my mind. You can't have my thoughts. And I refuse to worry about something that is not in my control. Now, a person might say, well, how do you get that kind of control, Faith? A person might say, well, how are you that aware, Faith? God said, you ain't got to fight battles. These battles are not yours. I heard it said that the devil, why would the devil, when you know, people say, well, my car broke down, the devil's after me. My marriage is falling apart, the devil's after me. You say, well, why would the devil want your marriage? You don't want your wife. You don't even want your wife. Why would the devil want your marriage? You don't want your husband. Why would the devil want your husband? The devil don't drive. Why would he want your car? But the fight that the battle that the devil starts is in the mind. You need to get that into your spirit. You need to get that into your heart. But the devil's playground, where his starting ground is, where he believes that the fight needs to kick off at, is up in your mind. If he can keep those voices talking to you loud enough, long enough, he can keep you preoccupied from thanking God for another day. And he may stir up something in somebody else that just so happens to affect you. You got to be able to be in one mind and one heart and one soul and one faith to be able to come out of that and say, this is not my battle. There's so many things going on right now in my world where I just say, this ain't my battle. Keep pushing. This ain't my fight. This doesn't belong to me. Where do you find the strength to do that? God. Going through some things. See, because every time my mind starts to race around and start darting in different directions like a bunch of cats, I always sit there and think, is any of this even worth worrying about? And if the answer comes back no, I immediately tell those noises and those thoughts to go away. Go away, not today. And you know what? It works. The secret is you got to get it under control within the first couple seconds when it starts coming, because you know when it's coming, because immediately followed behind it is a bout of anxiety. Immediately following it is a bout of anxiety. You can feel it. It's almost like when you're getting ready to get sick. First, you might get a headache. You might get dizzy. You might get lightheaded. And then you start throwing up. You start vomiting. You know the signs. You remember that the devil's playground is your mind. He wants to capture your mind. To him, that's ground zero. If he can capture the mind, then he knows the rest of the body will follow, while you're seeking the counsel of man to help you figure out a problem that is not yours. You need to slow the conversation down. You need to go ahead and just take that to God and be like, hey, this is what it is, and this is what I stand on, and this is what I believe, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to react, and this is what it's going to be. Right? Instead of trying to fight every battle. Instead of trying to fight every situation. Just let it be. And do what you can do. But if you find yourself asking everybody and soliciting everybody's advice, I would say that you're in a state of TikTok. You're not looking for an answer. You're looking for a solution to the voices in your head. And there's only one way you can get that. You got to talk to the voice and you got to tell it, not today, not right now, not ever. And you got to go back to what you was doing. And you're going to have to be okay with not knowing how it's going to turn out, but having faith that it's already done.